Hey guys, it's Pamu with JohnyTechReview and I hope you guys are all doing well. So today, let's talk about this guy. This is the Pamu Slide Mini. So Pamu, the creator of this product, reached out to me about a month and a half ago and asked me to review this product. So this was an Indiegogo funded project with 82,000 backer and I think about $6.5 million. So just to be clear, this is not a sponsor post. However, they did send it to me for a review. So I've been using it for about over a month now. Even take it on some vacation. So I would like to give you guys an idea of how this product works. So I tried a variety of these budget headphones in the past 2 or 3 years, but only in the recent year with the advent of Bluetooth 5.0 and the new Qualcomm chip, these are getting better and better. So as many of you know, I have a lot of iOS devices, and in our house we also have AirPods Pros to compare this to. So I will be alluding and compare and contrast a little bit this to the AirPods Pros. However, just keep in mind those are about 4 or 5 times more expensive than this. In this review, I'm going to go over a few different areas: packaging and design, setup and usability, comfort, sound quality, and of course the battery life. So the Pamu earbud came in a few different versions. The one I have here is the Pamu Slide Mini. There's also a regular version, and then also for each of these versions there's also a wired and wireless case version of them. So the one I have here is the Mini with the wireless version. At the time of the review, this one was about $69. There's also the traditional regular side, which is about twice the size and more capacity in terms of battery, but it's a little bit bigger. And that one is about also $69. And if you want that one in wireless case, that's $79. When I first started reviewing this product, I also saw a version that has a non-wireless charging case, and that was about $39. But that's been going in and out, so you have to kind of check the website and Amazon to kind of see what is available at the time of this review. So the earbuds came in a few different case options as far as color. You have black, white, green, pink. The one I thought I have blood here is more of a dark blue version. It is blood, but it's have a very thin of dark blue in it. Inside the box you can find wireless charging case, which is this one here. The earbuds themselves, 5 set of various different size tips for the ears, USB-C charging cable, a carrying pouch along with some documentation. Earlier, as I mentioned, this guy here features a Qualcomm 3020 Bluetooth chip. It's an apX chip. Again, I don't really know too much about the detail of these chips particularly, but there's a lot of wireless earbuds out there that are using this chip and they seem pretty good. The earbuds themselves are IP6 resistant, so just give you an idea. What that means is in regular usage, you can basically take it around running in the rain. You can have a little bit of sweating. I even dropped these in water just for test for like 10 seconds, take them out, shake them out, and they still works fine. But they're not really designed to be submergible, so I did not did a long range test. So I like the case. It's very small. Again, this is the mini version, as you can see here. Pretty small in my hand. Fit your pockets pretty well. The regular version is about twice the size, and that one has a little bit more capacity in terms of battery. It has a nice satisfying click, as you can hear. However, it's kind of hard to open it in one hand. You kind of have to hold it because the lip is really small, so you kind of have to hold it like this. But in general, 2 hands, you know, one grab and flip it open, and that's good. So inside you have 2 earbuds. They're kind of positioned opposite, so the one that is to your left when you're looking at it is the right side, and the one right of it is the left side. And they do not, and they have to be inserted correctly in that way. So in general, when I take them off, I put that to this side, and when I take this one off, I put it to that side. So kind of crisscross to give you an idea. As far as using these for the first time, when you open them up and take them out, they will automatically pair to each other, and then they will also enter Bluetooth pairing mode. At that time, you can go to your Bluetooth setting in your phone and then just found it. It's called Pamu Mini, and you can just select it. So a pretty typical setup like all the other devices. Of course, it's not fancy like AirPods or anything where you open it and automatically detect. So you're not going to get that on this device, but you know, typical Bluetooth setup, and after that, it's pretty good. As far as connection, when you put them back, they automatically goes off, disconnect. And when you take them out, they automatically reconnect. As far as the time it takes to connect them, when you take them out of these case, it takes about 4 or 5 seconds. You will hear pairing mode and then followed by a connected. It's pretty fast. Also keep in mind, these do not pair to more than one phone at a time concurrently, which means you can unpair and pair to another device, but you cannot pair 2 phones at a time and switch between the 2 of them, for example. Let me take this out and kind of show you. On the unit itself, right here, there's a touch sensitive area, and with that area, there's a few different actions depending on which earbud you have them in. The right side, if you double tap, it will fast forward to the next song. On either of them, if you just tap them once, it will pause and resume. If you hold the right side down for a while, it will increase the volume, and you hold the left side down, it will decrease the volume. I found that the earpiece themselves are pretty tricky. This touch sensitive area is very small. So at first you kind of accidentally hit it or you accidentally tap them. You do have to give it a good tap. You can't just barely touch it. So it is a good tap. So when it's in your ear, if you tap it, you can kind of feel it, as you're tapping your ear. But you do have to give it a good tap. And in general, again, you could easily accidentally tap them, but as you get used to them, you put them in your ear like this. And as you get used to them, you kind of rotate them and adjust using either the stick down here or using the big part of the earpiece and not touching the touch sensitive area. Otherwise you will accidentally trigger an action. As far as these staying in, I use them to basically walk around the lawn. I use them to just walk around the neighborhood, riding the electric scooter. None of that seems to be a problem. I'm not really much of a workout or running kind of person, and especially during this time I'm not doing any running, so therefore I can't really tell you if they will stay in when you run. I did a little short test where I run back and forth to see if they'll stay in, and they stay in, but again, that's only a very short test of a few 100 feet here and there. I'm not running like for miles. So again, your mile might vary, and it just depends on how good your fitting is in your ear tips. As far as ear tip, I do want to mention it does come with 6 pair of them, 6 pair of different ear tips. They're a little bit hard to push in, but when you get them in, they kind of stay in place, and the ear tips themselves provide a decent amount of comfort. Typically for these, for earbuds, I typically use the medium size ones, and in this case I also use the medium size, but then I decided to switch to the larger side, and I'll explain that in a second why. For me, typically when I use these, if I put them in my ear and if they last for more than an hour, I typically rate them as pretty good. For these, they definitely last over that. I usually wear them for like listening to podcasts while cutting the grass or something like that. Over 2 hours, very comfortable, no pinch. And that's usually how I tell. If they get, if my ear feel a little bit of tension, a little bit of pain, that's how I know it's not very comfortable, at least for me. So again, depend on your ear size, but for me, who typically use the medium or large size, this is pretty comfortable, and after a while you don't even notice that they're in. As far as sound quality on these guys, I am really impressed. So typically with these $30 to $50 pair of headphones, they kind of hit and miss. Sometimes the highs are a little bit too tinny and it can give you a headache. Sometimes the low is too muddle and you don't get really good bass. So in this case, the ear tips I think really provide a good isolation, so allow you to get decent bass. Again, medium size was good for me, but I wanted a little more bass, so I added the large size, which get a better seal in my ear. However, it does get a little bit muddy, but as far as sound quality, it's really good. In comparison, for example, to my AirPod Pros that my wife used, the AirPod Pros has a really crispy sound, but the AirPod Pros always, to me, feel lacking a little bit of bass, even though when I'm adding a good right ear side tips to it. To me, this has much better bass. The mids and the highs are also very clear, so pop music, your top 40, hip hop, etc. These are going to be really good on this pair of headphones. Again, for the price of around $50-60, this is about a 4/5 of an AirPod Pro, so depending on when you get them. So again, really good price for the quality. Again, with the AirPod Pro, you're getting a lot more of the ecosystem and a lot more control and that kind of thing. But other than that, this guys is really good. Another strong point of this guy, of course, is the battery life. Battery life on this unit is pretty amazing. They rated these 2 earbuds to have about 10 hours of battery playback. In my experience, I didn't really run it from 100 to nothing, but I used it over the course of 2 or 3 weeks, and I barely ever charged them. I do put them back in the case, but in general, they last quite a long time. So these things are supposed to last 2 for 10, plus the case is supposed to charge 20 more hours for a total of 30 hours. In my past of 1.5 months of using it, I charged it once. I charged it when I first got it completely, and then I charged it again. Like recently last week, and that was it. It was really good. At least on iOS, under the battery widget that you have, it does show the battery amount, so you can kind of see. After I use about 5 or 6 hours of this device, you can look at the battery meter on there, and it still show 40-50%. So put these back in, pop them in, and they charge up pretty quickly. Speaking of charge, it does has USB-C for charging. If you have fast charge, it will charge a little bit faster, but in a regular usage, about 2 hours to charge it completely. But in quick charge, they say you can get about 30 minutes in about 5-minute plug-in, which is quite fast. And you can get about 2 hours in about 10 minutes or something like that. So it's quite impressive. And you also have wireless charging. Wireless charging for me is just regular speed. Works pretty well. I have a wireless charging pad that I typically put on there, and it charges pretty good. I do like the convenience. I think these make sense as wireless, because in general, when you finish using them, you're gonna put them on a pad. Or if you're wanting to use your headphone, you can put these on a pad and recharge these, and you can take these with you. Again, I went on a whole vacation for a week listening on and off, and I never had to worry about running out of battery, and that was really nice. If you decide to tap this one on the earpiece, it will also show you. When you close them and you're charging them, it also shows the indication 1, 2, 3, 4 bar for 25 to 100%. That kind of give you an idea where they are. Finally, one last thing to note is using these for talking on the phone. Again, I'm not really a big talker when it comes to putting these on my phone. I typically either use Bluetooth in the car or I use my phone straight up or speakerphone. One of these times I was on the phone stuck with customer service, I put these on and just kind of paying attention to them. And it was quite nice just to have these in. The other side could hear me pretty well. I didn't have any issues with it. I mean, I didn't ask them how I sound, but they didn't really ask me to repeat myself too often. So that's a pretty good sound up that they can hear me pretty well. Again, I wasn't really outside in a noisy environment. Again, these don't have any noise cancellation. Compared to AirPods and other devices, these don't have active noise cancellation, meaning that if you are, if someone is standing next to you screaming or someone is there, with a fan or something really loud coming on, you might hear that. But in general, as you put these on, the passive noise cancellation is already pretty good with the tight-fitting earpiece, and then as you are starting to play music about 50-60%, that's gonna drown everything out. So yeah, in general, in that regard, it's really good. Sound quality is also excellent, along with battery life. So really, I do not have too much to complain about. I say the only thing I would complain about is the touch sensitive area can be a little bit tricky to use. Other than that, I don't really have any complaint about this unit at all. So guys, overall, the Pamu Slide Mini is a really good earbud. I have another pair that I was supposed to review, but I haven't. I decided to kind of turn over and play with these, and I haven't really returned to the other pair for the simple fact that it's just more comfortable and it sounds slightly better than the other pair that I was using. Again, with really great battery life, good sound, and about a 4/5 price of an AirPod Pro. This is a no-brainer if you're not looking to have that close, tightly integration. Of course, the AirPods have the noise cancellation and a few other integration that's really nice, but if you're just looking for a budget pair of headphones, this is a really nice option for you. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this little review. There are more detail in the description box below along with the link to the product. Thank you again to Pamu for sending this unit out for me to review. Please like if you enjoyed this video. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing for more future review. Thank you.